still like that. Hi guys. It says at least 1 minute of videos needed to start a highlight. No, that's not what I'm trying to do, silly. Might have to. It's not adjusting to the horizontal, which is so annoying. Hi guys. It should, but it's not. I need the text to be horizontal too. It's freaking. Let's see. Nope. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Okay, so you want me to be vertical. So I guess I might have to do this one vertical. Hi guys, anybody in here yet? There's somebody, one person. We're just gonna have to do this vertical, and that's okay too. And maybe it'll work out vertical. Tried setting it up horizontal, but there seems to be an issue. All right. I have a little room here tonight. My complex has like all this space. Okay, so I'm thinking this would be good like right here. Okay, yeah. Have a little board here tonight to make things easier to maybe understand. I'm gonna jot some stuff down. A little bit more this way. How's that? Nope, no good. Go back this way. We'll roll there. We'll roll with that. Okay, so we got our history book here. That's all this is. It's a simple history book on how B12 was built out in its genesis and its commercialization. You name it, everything you need to know about the lie is in this book. And apparently now the book has been debunked. So so I don't know if you should listen to me. I guess since random people who have allegiances to science and the enterprise that it is have debunked it, so we must believe them, right? So I'm gonna write some stuff down before, I guess we don't have anybody in here yet, and that's okay. I'm going to really display how information is born. Hey, what's up? What's up, Dominion? How's it going? It's weird, it says there are 0 people in here right now. Oh yeah, I know, I suck. It took me a little while. Just logistics tonight. Just to get down there, but I guess it's going to be more of an earlier live stream than a later one. But yeah, I was reading over chapter 9 in the book and really noticing how much of a pivotal chapter it really is. All the things mentioned in chapter 9. So I'm going to hope to go over that and do it justice tonight. Hopefully we can get at least. Okay, all of a sudden we have 24 people in the room. That's great. We're vertically streaming because my horizontal wasn't working. If you guys are just getting here, stay. We're going to be talking about the nefarious lie that is vitamin B12 and how profit engines have convinced us that it's real and that we need it. I'm going to go over how general information is how it's furnished, and hopefully point you to a few kind of bellwethers and beacons that'll help you see that you cannot take any material information seriously with really any grain of salt. And I'll hope to present that tonight. But thanks, guys. Anybody else I know in here? Anybody in here vegan curious or B12 curious? Dominion, thanks for being here. If you guys are just getting here to the channel, this is it's a vegan channel where we talk everything vegan. We do vegan activism, talking to the public once a week. In the summertime, I'll probably be able to pump that up to a little bit more than once a week. Right now, it's like, ooh, the elements. And we talk about fitness and health. We talk about questioning everything. That's a big part of being vegan. So many vegans are vegan, I guess, through the dietary definition, but really falling short to the whole kind of aggregated definition, which is it really is it really is a deep ethical purity that underlies everything, and just we question as we move forward into this life. And ground zero is the animals. That's ground zero, is that realization that animals are sentient and they have eyes to see and noses to breathe and families to love. We should all be vegan because we really are all vegan. Our hearts are all vegan. Our values are really all vegan, but and what we're going to talk about today is the profit engines that have taken those things away from us, and they've made us vote against our own values and vote against our own ethoses. But yeah, so one thing I want to put up here, and I'm just going to draw this out. I brought this, just probably should have done it beforehand, but I'm kind of going forward on a fluid basis tonight. I want to point out, and I'm going to write on this little chalkboard here, just a reference. We're presented with information and inundated with it even every second, seemingly, of every day. And we're given access to certain information. We are prompted and encouraged to look at this source, look at that source, look at this documentary, look at this peer-reviewed paper, look at this science article, look at this academic overhaul, and look at the output that it yielded. And it's just our reflex to just go to these sources and then just adopt them as fact with no other known informations, and even said sources will put up, these are all the sources that I'm citing. And once again, it's moot, null, and void, because those are also of material means, and we're going to unpack what those all these little exogenous things point to as well. But yeah, blind trust. Yeah, thanks, Dominion. Blind trust. One thing to keep in mind, and I'll start with to everybody watching, is that whenever you're dealing with anything scientific, period, as far as taking advice from scientific literature, via all the studies they're laying out, all the scientific method stuff that they did, all the peer reviews that they did, there's a human being underneath all that, a scientist even, if you will. And the primary to all of the manifestations of these informations is that all scientists are sensitive to the funding. That comes before the ethos, that comes before the right and wrong. That factor that all scientists are sensitive to the funding simply eclipses all things. So that's the main thing to keep in mind. So I'm going to put at the top something here, and then I'll just lay it out so you guys can see while we go over chapter 9 tonight of this book, which you guys all got to get. It's called The Enigma of Vitamin B12, Nature's Only Mistake, written by Anthea V. Hayes, and it chronicles the fear in marketing of the deficiency myth. Oh man, I wonder if there's any new symptoms that have surfaced recently. I didn't hear about it. I don't know, Dominion, if you've caught any new symptoms. I think the last ones that got released were guilt and being a conspiracy theorist. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up, guys. Okay, so the most important thing, okay, thank you, Big Brian, we appreciate that. The most important thing that we can keep in mind as people that are realized, people that are kind of awake to the different deceptions that are all around us, is that effectively one 1/10,000th of 1% control all the wealth, all the power, have all the money. And with this ratio comes this uncanny ability to be able to create and sell a narrative on an all-effective, all-encompassing basis. So we're looking at what's primary to all things material is this bellwether, which is 1/10,000th of 1% simply own all of the wealth, have all of the power and all of the control. So we're going to put this at the top. 1/10,000th of 1%. And they own all wealth, have all the power, and effectively have all the control. Okay, so this comes primary to everything. Primary to everything. And then we move down to the information outlets. And it's kind of like there's like this artery that comes out of this nexus, this 1/10,000th of 1% factor of the elites that own all the wealth, power, and control. Multiple arteries that come out of this factor. And we can look at these as the kind of connections to different information outlets, right? So we'll just do three. There's three chief ones that I think are important. One is academia. Another is industry. And another is science, research, peer review, everything in that bucket. So we'll just call it science. So before we even get to talking about academia or industry or science, we have to keep in mind what is before that. Like what is before that? And we know that it's the wealth, money, power, control factor. The absolute fact that 1/10,000th of 1% own everything, control everything, and have all the power, therefore can create and build out narratives that will effectively be believed. Arteries from the blood money. Yeah, exactly. I got my cat mug here tonight, by the way. With a little coffee. So you get to this point, and then these three things, industry, academia, and science, they're all going to be underneath material information for the most part. I mean, a lot of times it's one of the three. When we're looking at information that seemingly points to truths, and it could be about nutrition or science or anything along those lines, something academic, but these guys are directly underneath those material informations and the furnishings of, right? So with science, we have all that stuff, peer review, right? We got the studies, right? And when I point to science, I'm not just, of course I'm vegan here, and most of us in the room are vegan. We're not just calling out the non-vegan science, we're also calling out vegan science. So don't think that this is just some kind of, real precision-tuned, biased, fine-tuned outlook. With industry, it's the meat, the cheese, the milk, and the eggs, all information regarding, right? Meat and cheese, milk and eggs. And with the science, peer review and studies, we got the vitamins in there, the B12, the omegas, all this stuff that you absolutely have to have or you're gonna have a deficiency. Vitamin D, that'll fall into this area, right? So we'll even put down like B12. Oh boy. And there's, of course, more that industry will prop up, but for the most part, it's meat and cheese and milk and eggs. That's the big one. They want you to think that you need it to be healthy. You have to have protein, right? I mean, when I'm out on the street and I'm doing outreach, the biggest thing that people say when it comes to what do you need from a non-vegan diet, they say protein. You have to have protein. And they say B12 a lot too. They say, B12 a lot too. So trying to get this through to vegans, but they're just not getting it. They're just not getting it, Dominion. Okay. And then academia, that'll even collude and kind of mesh with science and industry as well. But academia, the papers, the university studies, all that stuff. So these are all like directly underneath all material informations, right? For the most part, academia and industry and science. So when you read something online, or you're looking at something on the internet, or you're looking at a paper, or you're at a university looking at a tome, a book, or whatever, you have to keep in mind that these arteries from this bellwether, this nexus that I initially started talking about, these arteries are shoring up, and they are making sure, and they are all cognizant of the furnished information and what is being presented to the viewer, right? Because it has to fit. It has to. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has to fit the intent, the agenda of this nexus that we first talked of. So I'll put this right here. And if I could write something down below it, I would say when looking at any outputs from these vessels of information, any kind of output, any facets, any aspects, and seeing that if any of those are in any way directly or indirectly monetized, at that point, as realized, what's the word? Just keen and aware, keeping our wits about us individuals, we have to know and see that all the utilities, the science, the academia, the industry, they're all now null and void when it comes to anything regarding authenticity or truth or anything regarding. So hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted to put that there, and I might make a little short out of this for later. But to any of you guys watching, and maybe you're B12, anti-B12 curious, and you're just a little shy, you're not saying anything, and you're in here, all it really takes is a little bit of seeing over things and just backing up, and if you saw a few weeks ago, me and Will did a full-on podcast or video on intuition, and seeing how intuition is the real guider to truths and to realities. But that's kind of what you toggle, and you kind of just, let that sense guide you. You don't need to follow orders from any of these three bad actors: academia, science, and industry, okay? If you noticed, industry is right next to science here. They're telling everybody to eat meat, cheese, milk, and eggs, and now vegans are being duped. Just like industry duped everybody with the meat, cheese, milk, and eggs, vegans are being duped with the B12. Vegans are being duped with the vitamin D. It's frustrating, and I'm not going to let the bad actors in the vegan space off the hook when they are more so responsible to everybody else with their followings. I will call them out, and I have called them out. I'm not going to make it my mission to go around to other people's channels. I don't do that shit. But I'll speak freely here. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people doing a massive disservice to the animals right now, and they are the same people that are telling people like myself that I'm doing a disservice to the animals. So I don't know. There seems to be some kind of impasse here, guys. There's an anomaly at work. Someone's not right. We'll just say that. Someone's not right. But anyway, so maybe I'll leave this here. They are censoring information. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Censoring information. Yeah, and for their own egos' sakes and for their own reputation's sakes. Like, it's tough now. I get it. At this point, after going so hard after the B12 rejectors, I mean, if truth hits them, it's still going to be hard for them to be like, oh, maybe I was wrong, but now I got to commit. So I'm going to continue my whole what I've been doing. I think that's kind of what's at play here. And I put out an open invite, and I'll put it out again on my YouTube posts, that anybody that I've had a falling out with or has gone radio silent on me, because there's been a few of you guys that have gone completely radio silent and just disappeared off my map and stopped responding to me, stopped acknowledging me. Listen, my email's in my descript. We can always talk, we have the same mission, and that's to unite everybody against profit engines and start protecting these babies, these animals that we are vegans for. So, it stands. Like, if you feel funny about, coming back and being like, oh shit, I was wrong, don't. Who cares? I've been duped. I was duped for 30 years while I wasn't vegan. Yeah, that's the tough part. Well, all I know is, time, they say time tells, time will tell. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to go over a bit of chapter 9 tonight. For anybody that's curious, we are reading The Enigma of B12, Nature's Greatest Mistake by Anthea V. Hayes, essentially a history book which chronicles years, people, places, things that happen, points the reader to realize, what's bullshit and what's not, and does a really good job of exposing the absolute nefarious, irresponsible, disgusting lie that is the vitamin B12 lie. Oh, thank you, G-Man, I appreciate that. We got Shadow Knight in here. What? Just regretting all 30 leaves all. Oh boy. Okay, Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight, we're all pulling for you. Just so you know. Thanks for keep coming in. You even come into the live streams now. We're all pulling for you, man. We want you to go vegan. All right. Chapter 9 is called "The Birth of B12 in a Merck Drug Lab: Blow Dart Poisons, Cow Manure, Liver, Antibiotics, and Patents." To anybody that still follows the B12 narrative, this is the crux and the backdrop of the holy pill that you worship and shore up and vote for with your dollar. It's the title of this damn chapter. So basically, I'm not going to read the entire chapter, but we're going to go over the crux of it. This one has to do with how B12 was born. It was born in a lab. It's never been in the soil to anybody just getting here. B12 has never been in the soil, and it still does not exist in the soil. It solely exists as a commercial build-out, an entity that only exists in a lab. So they start off by talking about Anthea starts off by talking about how Carl Folkers was very intrigued with Curer and different poisons and working with poisons. He loved it. He loved everything vivisection. He loved everything hurting animals. This is one of the kind of henchmen that helped founded B12, by the way. Yeah. And he loved Curer. Curer was like a paralytic. I don't think Curer was, but Curer inspired these paralytic drugs that were just, very ubiquitously used in the medical world, where you would be paralyzed, you couldn't move, and it just helped with the operation. It helped them do whatever they needed to do, and it presented a nice kind of canvas for them to work with. But there were problems with these things. These were not the safest, not the soundest, and hardly ethical. Basically, I don't know if you guys have seen that episode of Nip Tuck. but I used to watch Nip Tuck a lot, and there's this one episode, and I was reading this sect of the book where this lady, she goes under, and she wakes up while she's under, but she's under the administration of a certain paralytic. And we hear audibly her thoughts, right? They engineer it so they express her thoughts audibly to the watchers. And it's just her screaming at the top of her lungs, like she's being tortured. But externally, all they saw was a stoic figure, a statue, because you are basically rendered motionless and stoic when you're under the effects of these drugs. Well, Carl Folkers, one of the founders of B12, he loved him. He loved working with him. And they really kind of she gets into that in the beginning of it, and there's a little context that's kind of painted out that priors what comes proceeding after in the chapter. I won't go too far into that, but there's definitely, that's just part of all the context that she builds out this book with. You get so much context with this book. I mean, it's called Due Diligence, what the author did. It's called Due Diligence, and it's called 7 Trench Harvested Years Of. So you get all this context with this book, and it's entertaining. She writes beautifully. Which is great, and comically, and there's a lot of comedy. It's funny. You'll find yourself laughing a lot of times at just the way she writes, and a lot of times at how ludicrous that you're now realizing the idea of this B12 is. But we kind of get to where we talk about B12's inception, its realization. It's here. You ready for it? Here we go, because I know the pro B12ers love this word. It's discovery. So from 1942 to 1948, this is kind of the window which is very important to keep in mind when it comes to B12. 1942 to 1948. Let's start off here. Yeah, and there was a lot of research being done in this time on antibiotics, and I think streptomycin was a big one. It was streptomycin, neomycin, penicillin, grisine, I probably said that wrong, oxamycin, and novobiocin. So from 1948 to, 1942 to 1948, Folkers and team were working on antibiotics. Hi there. Okay. Jeff, are you a troll? The name is curious, Jeff. So in this period of time, they're working on all these antibiotics, and out of nowhere in 1948, and this is here's a little more context here. Before they announced the B12's existence, there was some camaraderie within the science space. There was this guy, I guess his name was George Briggs, and he worked at a Maryland Agriculture Experimental Station in the Department of Poultry Husbandry. He was also a collaborator with Merck. He was talking to Folkers, and they had already started discussions on naming something a B vitamin. They saw the long horizon monetary potential and robust momentum that it could provide, and they were in talks of finding something to name B12. So this was already kind of, I guess, in the air. Kind of backdropped to this whole scene. But I'll start right here in a little paragraph at the bottom of page 78. And here we go. It should be noted that the entire time this research was being conducted at Merck, and this is from 1942 to 1948, not one single paper was published that would reveal what this process of discovering B12 entailed. It is stated in Folker's bio that no publications on this subject emanated from the Merck laboratories in the 6-year interval between the origination of their work and the crystallization of B12 in 1948. How odd. All of this earth-shattering work going on about such a crucial nutrient, yet not one word about it written in the scientific journals or revealed to the public. However, Folkers did manage to publish 22 papers during this period from 1942 to 1948, but they were only in reference to synthesizing various antibiotics. Huh. Well, if that's not sus, I don't know what is. Why was the notorious vitamin B12 project kept so secret all the time, with only papers regarding antibiotics being published? The focus was particularly on streptomycin and neomycin, but also included penicillin, glycine, I probably said it wrong again, oxamycin, novobiocin, Streptomyces griseus fermentation mash was noted as a good source of vitamin B12, and the crystals derived from this fermentation were said to be identical to those obtained from raw cow's liver. Little side note. But basically, the end-all be-all of this 1942 to 1948 kind of time window is that they weren't really working on vitamin B12 from 1942 to 1948. They were working on antibiotics, and then they saw a golden opportunity to near 1948, and were able to engineer a kind of new vehicle to monetize that would have all this context behind it, that would make it presumably something that was a real, needed, and necessary vitamin, per se. So, and where it gets even susser is when it comes to the group, the Glaxau group, that were on the other side of the pond. Out of nowhere in 1948, not one group, but two groups announced the discovery of B12. And one of them, I think, was in Scotland. I think it was Scotland, the Glaxau group. So out of nowhere, in this period of time where they're supposedly learning about antibiotics, just completely sporadically comes B12's discovery at the tail end of the 6-year apparent work frame. Randomly, organically, spontaneously, and not only that, but another group in Scotland announced the same damn discovery at the same exact precision, in the same exact precision time window. So obviously they were colluding together. They decided, let's make this a thing, let's get it widely adopted. And there were many other reasons for their collusions, I'm sure. And then boom, 1948, vitamin B12 is discovered. That's its discovery to all the pro B12 believers out there. It was never discovered in the soil. This whole thing came from studying and learning and building out more of these just harmful, disgusting, poisonous antibiotics. And, you know, a lot of the side effects, funnily enough, and this is chronicled in the chapter as well, the side effects from these antibiotics are just, they're terrible. You know, I think, I think some of them are actually listed here. But let's see. Oh, yeah. Dizziness, hearing loss, nerve damage, vision problems, balance problems, trouble concentrating, muscle weakness, numbness or tingling. And these are all still side effects to, taking antibiotics. But the funny thing is, these symptoms, these side effects from taking antibiotics are the exact same symptoms of B12 deficiency. How the hell does that happen? So that's another little, funny thing chronicled in the chapter. So what we're really going over now is just the birth of, vitamin B12 and its actual building out of discovery and when it officially really launched. Okay, so Lance says, what's wrong with B12 now? I blink and half the things around me turn bad. Okay, yeah, so You know, the thing with B12 is, was it Lance? It's just a lie. It's just all a blatant lie. So the question, you know, there's a lot wrong with it, Lance. A lot wrong with it. There's a book out there, you gotta read it. It's called The Enigma of Vitamin B12, Nature's Only Mistake, written by Anthony V. Hayes. This will illuminate you the truth. This will show you that it's all a very keen, clever, divisive, deceptive, absolute vehicle intended to get people to drink its Kool-Aid, so to speak. And we have to hand it to them. It worked. And they did a great job. Because right now, B12 makes around $600 million on a year-over-year, or on a yearly basis. $600 million a year, that's insane. So they're putting this stuff in shots, they're putting it in energy drinks, they're giving it to animals, they're giving it to humans, they're giving it to vegans. We got vegans drinking the Kool-Aid left and right, vegans defending it till the end. And little do the vegans know, well, I think some of them probably know now, that when they support B12, they support vivisection in this scientific kind of gamut. They support the scientific enterprise. They support everything that is against the animals. Everything that's against the animals, they support. So we can't even call, you know, these bad actors vegans anymore. The ones that know better and aren't doing better. Let's see here. I will not lie. Okay. These are people who don't take antibiotics, yet they still had numerous symptoms of deficiency and benefited from supplementation. That's definitely up for debate, Angel. Or is it Angel? Yeah. So I don't know if you're going off of what I just mentioned right here, but I was kind of going off of chapter 9, where we were talking about antibiotics. Antibiotics are not good for you, dude. You don't want to put antibiotics into your body. You're literally loading all kinds of stuff, uploading it into your vessel. You only get one of these. And this is stuff that's made in the lab. All terrible, all horrible, don't do it. And we were just saying how the side effects of antibiotics reflect and mirror the side effects of not taking B12, which is kind of a paradoxically funny thing, that's all. You don't want them. You don't need, just, your body is an amazing thing, Lance. You don't need antibiotics. You just don't need them. The scientific enterprise, or the enterprise that is science, you know, in academia and industry, they're all going to sell you on it. They're all going to tell you how important it is. They're all going to tell you that you need it. But one of the things that I framed out in the beginning of this video, I don't know if you can see it, but maybe you can't see it, but it's how all information, material information, is furnished, right? Like, when you go to a website, when you go to a doctor's office, when you go into the history, the libraries of academia, and you look at just material information, you have to keep in mind that there are certain lines and arteries, if you will, that hail down from, you know, the nexus of all things, the fact that 1/10,000th of 1% of the population own all the wealth, power, and money. So they can furnish information. They have that and those means. They have the ability to build out and perpetuate and sell narratives. So if we're looking at information, which all information right now, you look online, they'll tell you to take antibiotics. They'll tell you to take vaccines. They'll tell you to take B12. They will tell you that you need to eat meat, cheese, milk, and eggs to be healthy. This is all the same gamut at work. The same gamut at work. But we're telling you, you know, kind of realized vegans and people that, like myself, I don't take vitamins or supplements. I don't go to doctors or dentists. I've been vegan 13 years. My daughter, same thing. Not only do you save tons of money, but you don't have to put all this crap into your body. It's not nice. It's not nice to you, and it's not nice to your family. It's just stuff we're not meant to have in our body. It really is all industry. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, so the crux of the chapter has to do really, I think the big highlight, at least for me, was that from 1942 to 48, when all this apparent research was going on, which was said after the fact it was going on, looking at B12, which once again was said after the fact, but real time, what actually unfolded was all these people were studying antibiotics and then said, boom, money idea, let's call one of these outputs B12 and just bank it. And then sure enough, and there it was, and then it was written. But yeah, going on, it's a very important chapter. I think chapter 9, for all of you who have gotten the book, is maybe one of the most important chapters of this book. Here, I want to read this too. This is from the tail end of chapter 9, where they talk about the starting material. Anthea chronicles the starting material for vitamin B12. The starting material for the cobalamins/vitamin B12 was created from bacteria obtained in a compost of soil and cow manure. Sorry, I got to read that again. The starting material for the cobalamins/vitamin B12 was created from bacteria obtained in a compost of soil and cow manure. Great. It was kept stable at suitable incubation temperature long enough for it to synthesize. A highly volatile and flammable liquid known as acetone was then applied as a solvent to the culture broth. It was then cultivated in a medium containing what was referred to as meat extract, extracted from raw cow's liver. This is what started this whole damn thing, the raw cow's liver. And corn liquor, with the culture broth being treated with activated charcoal. Whew. Now I think she frames it perfect with this next paragraph. When this witch's brew, I mean, that's insane, had reached the point of incipient turbidity, that is, just prior to reaching the state of cloudiness, it would turn the needle-like crystals a satisfying red color. Now this is very important for later on. And voila, B12 is ready to be served up to the unsuspecting, the perniciously anemic, and the vitamin deficient masses. And herein lies the real reason why not one single paper was published on B12 until the very day of its discovery, while dozens were being churned out on antibiotics. The vitamin B12 project and the work on the streptomycin antibiotic were essentially one and the same. Both were comprised of basically the same formula and done concurrently by Folker's team at Merck. In fact, the discovery, crystallization, and naming of vitamin B12 was announced the exact same year that the patent for streptomycin was granted in 1948. What a fortuitous timing! So vitamin B12, was vitamin B12 really nothing more than bits of generic bacteria gathered from animal organs, cooked up in a steaming beaker full of raw cow's liver drenched in cow dung, meat sauce, and corn liquor, then synthesized into a very potent type of antibiotic drug to be patented? Was it simply a drug company's clever marketing scheme to replace liver extract pills, which were very popular beforehand, with a healthy vitamin to be offered as first treatment for pernicious anemia, then later to the growing niche of those deemed sick, sickly, and deficient from lack of meat? But it gets curiouser. This red crystalline compound, promoted as having the clinical activity of raw cow's liver, which, remember, Mr. Nagra, our famous plant-based doctor, still believes in the genesis regarding the raw cow's liver. It's right, his receipts in his dumbass short that he made from a few months back. And designated as vitamin B12, was isolated and announced almost simultaneously by two independent groups working for different pharmaceutical companies on opposite sides of the world. Carl Folkers with Merck and Ernest Lester Smith of Glaxo Company in the UK. So this is where all of a sudden the discovery of the vitamin was simultaneously announced in 1948 by somebody at Merck in the US and then somebody in Europe. I'm trying to work on my cussing this year. How the frick does that happen? Each team published papers on their identical red pigment and red crystalline compound discoveries just days apart. First, the Science Journal paper by the Merck Group appeared, then a report in the Journal of Nature announcing that E. Lester Smith from Glaxo cell had also discovered the very same substance. So this is key, absolutely key for understanding the lie of this vitamin. Some of these very, very curious, sus, just straight obvious anomalies, inconsistencies. Don't make sense isms. Like what kind of timing is that? That is engineered timing, guys. Engineered timing. But yeah, so the chapter goes on, and a lot of other good stuff in the chapter. Yeah, very, very important. And she talks about the patents at the end and kind of points to the patents and just, you know, the real how these bad actors realized how lucrative this vehicle was really going to be. And then that kind of tees up for chapter 10, which is anti-pernicious anemia factor formula, genetically modified dairy bacteria and liver. And that'll be for the next time. But I think chapter 9 was very helpful in that it helped us. It pointed to all the inconsistencies, eyebrow raisers, and anomalies that took place within, you know, the period of time where it was discovered. So all the vegans even that are pro B12 and are saying, you know, it was discovered in the soil, you have to keep in mind two things, vegans. One, it was never discovered in the soil. It's never been in the soil. It's never going to be in the soil. It doesn't exist in the soil. Okay, it's not there. It's not there. It exists in the four walls of a Merck lab or whatever labs. There's over 15 pharmaceutical companies that manufacture it right now. So it exists in one of those labs as an artificial thing that we've been fear-mongered to believe that we need. Yeah, so I think this has been a pretty good live stream. Do any of you guys have any questions in here? Any B12 curious people that are kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'll start coming to this guy's live streams and see what he has to say. I mean, maybe he makes a little bit of sense. I don't know. Or maybe he's got some pointers that could help me just kind of see over some of these lies. But I know there's still a lot of vegans that are just hanging out there. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't call somebody a vegan when they support this kind of industry. If you're supporting B12, you're supporting vivisection. You're saying, yes, let's do vivisection. You're saying, yes, let's back a lie. You're saying, yes, let's put cobalt, cyanide, and lab-made bacteria into our body. You're saying yes to all that stuff. And I understand the whole tribal effect. Like, there's a very strong kind of tribal inertia, right? Like, I know a lot of you guys, you're in groups, you're on Discords. You know, that's why I don't join these Discords. I was actually invited to join VPM's Discord. I think it's called something soy, right? Soy glaze, soy feed, I don't know. But I said no. And I'm glad I said no. Because I'm not a spring chicken. I've been on this planet for a little bit. I've seen a few things. I know how things work. And I knew, and I had kind of the long sight to see that it could get interesting if I did. Virtue post-mortem, yes, Mercury. Lovely individual, just completely misled and absolutely misleading others right now, which should be said. But yeah, I denied. I said, no, I'm not going to join a group because I don't want to be in any kind of tribe. And hopefully other people, you know, will take note of that too. Well, the second you get into a tribe and you start partaking from whatever they, you know, their informations and rubbing shoulders with them and fostering camaraderie, you start developing a bias, and you want to see clear. You want to see over things. You don't want to be lowered back down to only seeing through certain purviews. So. Angel Moose, what are you saying? I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. But yeah, so I figured let's go for 10 more minutes, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. Tomorrow night, I'll be on the street doing outreach, and you know, we can hang out again then. Probably. Now, I will say right now to you guys listening, it'll probably be, it could be earlier tomorrow than later. So keep tuned to the time, because I think I put it as 10, but it could be earlier. Like it could be earlier. We might see some daylight activism tomorrow. I haven't done daylight activism in a little bit. All right, Dominion says, people say crazy things that are addicted to B12 supplements. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. I mean, I can't believe that it's just unbelievable that people are still supporting and defending drug companies. Aren't we supposed, as vegans, aren't we supposed to be defending animals? Like, what happened? What happened? We're defending Merck. We're defending, what are some other big players? We're being Pfizer activists, pro-Pfizer. We're being pro-Eli Lilly. You know, guys, stop. We're supposed to see over material interests. And that's what this whole thing I did in the beginning was to help point you to. So hopefully, you know, if you want, you can rewind and watch the beginning where I just kind of go over how information is furnished and what its genesis is, and then how it kind of permeates to the eyes of the public. What in the heck? Redeemed God also allows slavery. Do you know slaves? Uh-oh, is this between Shadow? Shadow, what are we gonna do with you, man? I mean, gotta hand it to Shadow. Keeps coming back to the streams. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I feel like, you know, I don't know. Maybe you'll realize things down the road. I guess that's what I feel like. Maybe down the road, you'll realize things. What's up, Basil B. Vegan? Oh man, it's so nice of you to be here. Dude, I love your outreach, man. I wish I could outreach with you. You seem like just a fun guy to be out there outreaching with. You know, I'm another loud guy, you know. You're two loud guys. I mean, one of these days we got to collab, man. I think you're in New York though, right? I think you're in New York and I'm in Maryland. So maybe down the line, who knows? I was actually just in New York a few months ago. We just went up for a little day trip. Yeah, I love your content, man. Keep it coming. Your activism is so solid, inspiring. Everybody, if you're here, go subscribe to Basil B. Vegan. He is just an inspiring activist hitting the streets. And I think it's New York City, right? I think you're in New York City. Oh, solid. Okay, cool. I'll probably be there. Grassroots Activism Summit in DC this May. Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to get there. I mean, DC's a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So, okay, Angel Moose is back with needle-phobic people who suffer through B12 injections are totally addicted. Okay, I'm missing some context there. Oh, okay, on tour with ASAP, Allied Scholars for Animal Protection. I'm familiar. Okay, very cool. Well, keep on rocking it. Yeah. Yeah, we got, if we have to outreach, guys, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, and it's great because I'm seeing more and more people getting out there and outreaching. And it's one of those things to where you'll never see, like, it's just intuitive for this to only happen with vegan activists. You know, you won't see really any other kind of diet fad that goes out and does this. Everybody knows deep in their hearts that not being vegan is wrong. And it's just the elephant in the room that just industry, material interests, and the powers that be just eclipse all things and just disconnect people perpetually. So if we're not out there outreaching, how are people going to know, right? Keep believing the lies if it suits you. Basil, one day we can collaborate on some outreach and content. Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. That sounds awesome. You know, it's fun. I really have a lot of fun now that I'm out there. I know when I first started Basil, it was very, I guess I've been doing it coming up on 2 years now and pretty damn consistently for 2 years. But I would just, you know, how anything works, there's that innovation curve, right? We'll call it maybe the anxiety curve. And it's like, God damn it, I don't want to do this. But then it's like, you know, the kind of, the greater whatever just calls you to do it. But now it's like, we get out there and we have fun, right? Like I try to, and I know you do too, just to, you know, look at it through the lens of partnership. Like, let's show these people that they're fucking being lied to, and that we can just take back our autonomy, and all of us together, and just reject those profit engines and take back that sovereignty, that moral autonomy that we all have underneath. And it's just a lot of fun being out there now. I feel like I'm out there just to make friends with people, to share information, and to keep the message strong. You know, we got to keep the message strong. We do have to ask the tough questions, and we have to not concede on those questions. You know, we only have a finite period of time for the animals when we're out there. But we can really make it something that is appealing, that is fun, and hopefully get others to do it as well. So what's the conversation here, Dominion, with Angel Moose? B12 deficiency doesn't exist. It's a misdiagnosis. You're not here to learn, though. Okay, yeah, exactly. What Dominion said to you, actually, is 100% correct, Angel. Yeah. It's a whole gamut underneath this whole engine of B12, this whole financial engine of B12. There's a big gamut underneath it. Oh, gotcha. Angel, are you a vegan? Could we ask you that? I see we have a religious conversation going on in here too. That's always healthy. Perhaps you should research interview with Dr. Tim Trader. I'll prefer to pass on that. Watch him 20 years ago, watch him now, ask him what he thought about B12, ask him what happened to him. Okay, so you're asking us to ask somebody about their specific situation with themselves, and also asking us to kind of yield our thought scrutiny because they have an MD after their name too. That's kind of like a double ask of yours. So, Angel, throw all that shit out the window. All that shit with anecdotes, it's all bullshit. Don't listen to any of it. And do yourself a service and don't listen to those facets of information. All you have to do is just look inwards. You look inwards and you realize what's bullshit and what's not. We don't reference material furnished informations that all have either science, academia, or industry underneath them. And science is not on the side of vegans, by the way, to anybody just getting here. It does not exclusively side with vegans at all. Tim Trader is a staunch vegan raw foodist. And once again, you know, it's might as well be mood sound bites. Cognitive dissonance is crazy. Yeah, I mean, Angel, are you vegan? Are you a raw food vegan? Or are you vegan, Angel? Okay, we're in Exodus now. It's getting, okay. Specifically says that 7 years is the maximum someone can be your slave. Damn, okay, I'm gonna let you guys, okay. All right, we got a hardcore biblical conversation going on here too. But if you are vegan, you have to, that is a sacred word. It's a sacred word, Angel. And in 2026, we now know that certain things are absolute nefarious bullshit lies that are it's their whole intent, their whole architecture, their whole engineering is to get people to drink the Kool-Aid of certain industries and enterprises. And as vegans, if we're using that word, that sacred word vegan, we cannot concede our autonomy and drink the Kool-Aid from such bad actors. That is not something a vegan does. That's something someone plant-based does. But we are vegans, right? All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up in 2 minutes. I told you I go till 60 minutes. I think this has been good. Remember to get the history book, no matter how much someone tells you, don't do it. Oh, it's been debunked. Oh, please just read the information. This is written by an ethical vegan of 7 years, and it has no industry ties, etc., no science ties, no medical ties. All she wanted to do was uncover a lie to help people, to help vegans, to help even non-vegans. That's all she wanted to do. So read the book. It's called The Enigma of Vitamin B12, Nature's Only Mistake. It's a history book with people, places, happenings. It helps you toggle it points you to toggle to your own intuition to see what's bullshit into what's not. And I guarantee you by the end of the book, you're really gonna be mad. Like I remember when I finished the book, I wasn't even halfway through actually, and the anger that I had was akin to the anger that I had after watching Gary Yourofsky's speech the second time. I was furious. I was furious that I had been duped I had been lied to. And I had, just like Angel, what you're doing right now, but I did this with the meat, cheese, milk, and eggs. I was telling people before that, come on, listen to the science, listen to the paperwork, listen to their peer review, listen to all the nutritionists, the fitness coaches, the doctors. You need meat and cheese and milk and eggs to be healthy. You have to do it. I was doing the same shit you're doing with the fucking nefarious lie that is B12. And then, so halfway through this book, I was just angry, and you're going to be angry too, but in a healthy way, because that's going to spur action, hopefully, for more people to speak out and to share with their vegan brother and sisters and non-vegan brother and sisters that this whole thing is full of shit, and not even just a little subtle dropping or scarce whatever. This is a big heaping load of shit. This whole lie that is B12. All right, guys. I'm gonna call it a night. If you guys want, please like and subscribe. That'd be great. I'll be out on the street tomorrow night, and it's either gonna be late night, 10 p.m., or it's going to be maybe around 6 p.m. daylight. So we'll be doing activism tomorrow. We have some other stuff, exciting stuff lined up, but nothing I'm going to put up in the coming soon yet. But some other stuff that I got going on this year that I want to do, and I think would be fun for the channel, and something that I really should do, things we really should do for the channel. But I'll talk to you more about that as time goes on. Thanks for being here, guys. Just think about it. Think about what it means to be vegan. Think about it more than just dietary related. And also think outside of like the tribal mindset. If you're in a vegan tribe, I know there's a lot of discords online and a lot of meetups, a lot of groups, a lot of people that follow this activist, that activist, that activist. Like I was telling you, I was invited into a few of these and I respectively declined. You have to keep in mind, if you're in a vegan tribe, you are seeing through their purview, and it's not fair to you to only see through their purview. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. My pleasure. Guys, thanks for being here. And we'll see you in the next live stream. See you tomorrow night. I'm gonna go upstairs. I like this room though, right? It's kind of a chill room. I'll have to look this up and see how the quality of the stream is. It can be loud and yell. My family's upstairs. They're probably chilling, and I'm just a loud guy, so I wouldn't want to be in the same room with me, just like blah blah. This is good. This is a win-win for everybody. This is a nice little room. Anyway, all right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.